1, 2, 3, 4. I love the way it flows, I love the way it grows. There's something in this sound that takes me far. It's like a special song, can move my mood along. What I cannot say, you'll hear through my guitar. She told me at the bass line, and everything will be alright. She told me that the groove is mine, it will take us through the night. And where I'll go, can't explain, I'll never know, but it's beautiful. You can't take this away from me. The way I hear the melody, the waves bring clarity, running through me. You can't take this away from me. Oh, the way I hear the melody, the waves bring clarity, running through me. I love the way it sings, all the joy that it brings. Remember skating down the road towards the park. I could never say no. You with that summer glow. The music gives me some.
Good morning, evening, everyone, and welcome to our Digital Advertising Conference Volume 3. This is the first of our Adconf series completely dedicated to publishers. And what we want to bring you here today is an overview for publishers on how to effectively make money out of their website. We will be sharing up-to-date information, tips, and relevant checklists for publishers that are just about to get started, as well as an expert in this field. In order to do so, I'm pleased to announce that we host today 3 experts in this area. So let's take a look at the agenda of today. We will have 3 presenters. The first one will be Servando Silva, that will talk about maximize your website revenue and understand your niche. Second one will be myself. I will talk about how to find the right balance between website monetization and user experience. Third, Craig Campbell will talk about the best SEO tips and advice for 2020. We will also host 15 minutes question and answer at the end of the presentation. So I will ask you to submit your question during the different presentation. We will try to answer to as many as them. But let's move forward. First presenter of today will be Servando Silva, and I will give the word to Servando. Please, Servando.
Hey everyone, thanks Emmanuel. Let me share my screen real quick. Can you see it now? All right. Perfect. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here today with you guys and all the Adcash team and also Craig. And today I'm gonna talk about how to maximize your website's revenue and just trying to understand your niche in order to increase your overall CPMs and revenue that you're generating with your assets, your digital assets. So a little bit about me in case you don't know me, because I know there's a lot of people here in the webinar. My name is Servando Silva. I consider myself an affiliate marketer and blogger. So I started writing blogs almost 15 years ago. I was just a writer. I had no idea about monetization or any other stuff that goes around this business. However, in 2012, so almost 8 years ago, I started my own blog, and then I decided to go digital and try to learn everything by myself. Got up my first sales and revenue a few months later, and basically 1 year later, I decided to go full-time, and I've been living from this online income for almost 7 years. So my main focus nowadays is doing media bites, which means I buy traffic from ad networks, and I pair that with affiliate marketing. And also I focus on SEO. So I also try to gather traffic from Google search engine and other organic traffic methods, and also monetize them. So that's why I would love to share some insights on what's working nowadays with you guys. And if you have any questions, of course, also at the end of the presentation, well, at the end of the conference, we'll see about that. If you're interested in paid traffic, I also have a blog, which is servandosilva.com. And so far we have generated 6 figures with SEO traffic and 7 figures with media buys and affiliate marketing. So I'm just gonna try to share some of the insights that we have learned in these past few years about those. So 2 topics we're gonna go over today. Number 1 is understanding your niche, and the other one is how to monetize it properly, right? So first thing you need to do is try to understand your niche and see what other people are doing to dominate it. It's important to understand that every niche has different monetization methods, and not everything works the same for everyone. It's not like there's no perfect method that applies for every niche or every website out there. So one of the first things I want to mention here is there are multiple revenue streams that you can work with. There's not just one revenue stream. And this is very common because when people are getting started, they always think about Google AdSense or Amazon affiliates, which are the most common openly talked topics about making money online. So those 2 are good contenders, of course, but there's a lot more going outside of those that you can use to monetize your website if you know how others are doing it. And it depends on your vertical or niche that you're working with. There's some myths here that some people believe, not only this year, but probably from past years, that well, they think that banner ads don't work anymore because people are blind to ads. But in reality, ads still work, ad revenue still works. And there's also a lot of stuff out there about besides banners. So you have banners, you have video, you have native ads, you have push notification ads, interstitials. There's a lot of different ad formats that you can use to leverage your traffic and make more revenue besides just the regular banners that, yeah, I understand that some people kind of ignore them already because we have seen them and we have been interacting with them for a few decades already. All right, so websites can monetize with ad networks. You can also use affiliate programs. You can sell your own product. You can sell products from somebody else, like such an affiliate, or maybe perhaps you have a partnership with some store. You can do lead generation in case you have some interesting vertical for other people who are trying to get leads for their business. You can sell subscriptions, etc. So there's a lot of ways you can monetize your website, and it's not only ads, but ads still work really good if you have the right vertical or niche. Now there's another myth here. Some people think that ads are dead. I just want to be clear that ads are not dead. Yes, there's people that use ad blockers. This usually represents around 10 to 30% of the population of different countries, but still there's the other 70 to almost 90% of traffic that's not using ad blockers, and they still see your ads and you get revenue from them. And there's also some other things that we'll speak about later. And also you need to consider that mobile users barely use ad blockers. So mobile users, they don't really tend to block all the ads online. And if you consider that mobile is only growing and growing every year, which is happening, and now there's more mobile traffic than desktop or computer traffic, well, there's a huge pool of millions of impressions there to show to your traffic. And well, just consider here for every website, there's almost always you can have 2 or 3 major revenue streams that you can use to work with so that you can increase your revenue. So it's not only one stream that you can use. For example, if you're doing just ads, also consider that if you want to maximize your traffic, you can also do maybe 2 or 3 revenue streams. And some websites even have more, but the majority of their revenue comes from mostly 1 or 2 revenue streams. Now, there's some verticals that bloggers don't really talk about much, but they can also be very profitable. I just wanted to mention this because when you search for how to make money online or how to get started with your website, usually you find information about how you need to create a WordPress blog and how you need to follow your passion and just write about what you like, stuff like that. That of course helps, but there's also this information that most bloggers don't talk about because they either don't have experience or maybe it's information that you can find in forums or other places, where many webmasters work with also other perhaps difficult to monetize niches. Some examples like this are gambling, casino, finance, dating, even adult content. Lately also like CBD, streaming, health sites, etc. So there's a lot of niches as well that are working. Some of them have a lot of volume available and also lower competition in the SERPs. Not all the times, because I know, for example, casino or gambling has a super high competition, but there's also, depending on the geo that you are working or the language that you're working with, perhaps you have a lot of traffic there and the competition is quite low. So you can also leverage this information to make money in those verticals. But the problem here is these are sometimes difficult to monetize with traditional ads. So for example, if you try to put Google AdSense in one of the verticals I mentioned, you probably get banned or not approved from the beginning. But there are also a lot of alternative networks such as Adcash or other vertical specific affiliate programs that can make you a lot of money as well. Another option that we have been using a lot is CPA marketing. CPA marketing, it's a way that you can get paid not only for the sales that you generate, but also for example, for leads, for downloads, for trials, app installs, etc. So there's a lot of monetization points, let's call it that way, that you can use in CPA marketing, which is just some kind of affiliate marketing that works really well for these kind of verticals. All right, so once you have your niche or your vertical already ready to start working with, you need to ask yourself, what are others doing in this area? So the easiest way to understand what's working here is to check out what the top guys are doing in your in the search, in Google search. So if you type your desired keywords and you find your competitors, open the first 5 or 10 results that appear in Google search, you can go over their websites and try to find their monetization methods and try to reverse engineer that. So we also use some other tools such as SimilarWeb to try to analyze traffic data and the sources they get their traffic from, Ahrefs, Alexa, etc. But I mean, the easiest way is just for free, go to Google, search what they are ranking for, and try to see in their website what monetization methods they're using for to make revenue. So maybe perhaps they are using 1 or 2 different ad formats. Perhaps they are focusing completely on affiliate revenue, affiliate links. Sometimes they are selling their own products, so it's difficult to compete with that as well. But the idea here is that you need to understand what they are doing, try to replicate it, because if they are doing it already at high scale and volume, it means it's working. And while you can, of course, test some new things and always try to be creative and see what works, it's always better to start with what's already working and try not to reinvent the wheel. And then later, when you have more traffic or more leverage, you can try some different stuff that you're trying to experiment with. For example, the idea here is just to find the best combination of ads that they are using and test it yourself to see what you can get for the best revenue. For example, they could be using the best native ads, ad network, along with banner ads. or they could be using banner ads with push notifications and perhaps interstitial ads. So the idea is you have to find the right combination to maximize your revenue. If you have a website that you only have low traffic for now, let's say you have 200, 100, maybe 300 visits per day, it's always recommended that you wait for at least 2 to 4 weeks when you're testing a new network. This is very important because when you're testing a network, there's always things going on inside, and you need to give it time to optimize the ads for your traffic. If you have a bigger site, let's say you have already 1,000 visits or even more, maybe you have 10,000, 100,000 visits per day, you can gather data, of course, quickly, maybe in 1 week or less, perhaps 2 weeks. But usually you need to wait at least some days to give a proper test to any network that you're gonna try to monetize your website with. So here are some tips that I recommend you to increase your website's revenue and try to earn more per visitor and increase your CPMs or overall RPMs. So number one, I want to tell you that split testing and communication here is key. So I mentioned this because I know a lot of webmasters, when they are working online, they feel like they don't really need to interact or socialize with anybody because everybody is behind a computer and we are just all working. So we kind of are introverts at this point, but it's important to socialize and try to communicate with your affiliate manager or your network manager, because they are very important in this area, because when you're getting started with a network, an account manager can give you the best recommendations on what's working, which ad formats are working, what are the best verticals, the best geos for your traffic or for your monetization methods. And basically, I mean, you need to have a relationship with them. When they are working in the network, they can see everything that's working there. So they have a overall view or insights of hundreds or even thousands of websites that are working with them, and they can tell you some really good tips about how you can increase your revenue from your website. So I know this is something that might be a little bit new for people who are working in the industry. It was new for me as well a few years ago, but then I understood that working together with my manager was one of the best things that I could do to understand what works and also get some tips on how to place my ads better and just increase my revenues. Another thing I can tell you is you always can test the top of the 2 or maybe 3 ad formats that the network has to gather data faster. So if the network has, for example, banner ads and push notifications, if you have enough traffic, you can test both at the same time, because those ads are not competing against each other and they are not overlapping. You can either increase your revenue or just test faster when you are trying to maximize your revenue. So obviously the more traffic you've got, the better, because you get more statistical significance data. But as long as the ad formats don't overlap with each other, or perhaps as long as you're avoiding, for example, the same ad from different networks, which could overlap, you should be fine. And always, as I mentioned before, always give a test or more to get optimum CPC or CPMs in your network. This is important because performance can improve, or sometimes it also can decay after more advertisers start buying your traffic and they see the quality of it. But it's important that you give it at least some days, because once you enter as a new website in a network, you enter a pool of advertisers and they start buying your traffic, they start testing, and it will of course take them a while to optimize, to leverage the revenue for them and also increase the revenue for you. If you're split testing, and this is very important, in case you're doing banners, always split test sizes, colors, placement, number of ads that you put per page, as long as you follow the rules from the network. And this helps a lot to avoid banner blindness. So this is something we do with some of the websites that we had with a lot of viral social traffic. So every 2 or 3 weeks, because we had a lot of traffic coming onto the website, every 2 or 3 weeks, we split tested new placements or new ad sizes And this helps us increase the revenue a lot to keep it, at least to avoid banner blindness and just people trying to scroll down, ignoring the ads. If you are going to split test different ad networks, which is also something you can do, just keep in mind, if they have similar ad formats, just try not to overlap the same ad formats at the same time. But you can test, for example, with one network, push notifications, and then with another network, you could try perhaps banners or interstitials. So as long as they don't overlap, that's fine. But of course, if you are using the same network, it's probably better because you are joining forces there, and also all your revenue will be in just one account instead of 2 or 3 different networks. Now, split testing here and communication. Well, some networks we have seen from the insight that we have in the last 3 to 5 years. Some networks are just better for some kind of traffic, and some networks are better for other kinds of traffic. So it's very important that you split test between different networks at least every few months, because you need to understand that their ecosystem and the verticals that they work with can be different. So for example, there are some networks that work a lot with adult verticals, or others work with mainstream verticals, but they focus, for example, in CBD and casino, or they focus on downloads, streaming sites, etc. So it's just better to split test, because sometimes the ecosystem that they have and the number of advertisers they have definitely can change the performance that they can give you based on your vertical. If you have a good chunk of traffic sources coming from mobile, which you can see with Google Analytics or any other statistics tool that you're using with your website, also try push ads or interstitials or even pop-ups, just because ads here are more prominent, as you can see in this picture in the right side. They are more prominent in a smaller screen. So even a small banner that usually in a huge monitor would be just a small square right there, in mobile it's just bigger, and it perhaps uses the half of the user screen. So ads are more prominent there. We have seen some really good CPMs and overall revenue higher in mobile than our desktop traffic. And the goal here is just to find the best performing ads and mix them. So try to have the best combination for different types of ad formats, and if possible, use it with the same network. But if not, at least try to not overlap the same ad formats from each network. I mentioned before that some people use ad blockers. So this is very important, because there are a lot of networks that are working with different technologies to show ads to the people who have ad blockers. So they can bypass ad blockers or some browser updates that kind of block the ads in the website that you visit. And just make sure you keep updated your JavaScript codes or the codes that the network gives you for faster performance, and to bypass the ad blockers. Because even if you think that perhaps the people who are blocking who are using ad block, they probably ignore the ads, even if you put them. We have seen very different results. We buy a lot of traffic, and we also buy ad block traffic, and sometimes it performs really well for us as advertisers as well. So it's just like, you never know. So just a split test and see if it works. And it's always just a good recommendation to check out your codes from the network and update them in case you're using an old one and perhaps this one is just faster or it has better performance overall. So another last thing that I want to mention here is there's always new ad formats being developed every few years. For example, 2 or 3 years ago, we had this new web push notification method or ad format that started growing a lot in the last years. So being one of the first ones to test it is always a good competitive advantage, always be testing. And also, for example, this year, there's some new ad formats like in-page push notifications. So I just always recommend you to be updated. And that's why it's very important to not only inform yourself and just keep searching online, but also have a good relationship with your network manager. So always be testing, guys, and just try to stay on the loop and not stay outdated. One last thing I want to mention here in terms of optimizing your revenue is about your website speed. So this is a very simple, I mean, this is just like a overall look of what I do to increase my website speed, because I have seen that the faster my website loads, usually I get either more traffic or more page views, which means more revenue for me as well. And also I have seen the ads performing better. So I just want you to make sure your website loads fast. Try to keep additional server requests as minimum as possible. Of course, when you're adding ad networks, you will have additional server requests, but just try not to have hundreds or even thousands of requests, because sometimes I have seen some websites that take like 20 or even 30 seconds to load, and that just doesn't make sense. When that happens, you pretty much already lost the traffic and you're not gonna monetize it. And even if you do like this also helps with Google search to rank a little bit better. If you have a decent amount of traffic, let's say at 500 to 1,000 visits per day, I recommend you definitely to move to a BPS or even a dedicated. But I think that BPS is the sweet spot because you can choose the BPS close to your main geo. For example, if you have a lot of traffic in Europe, you can choose perhaps a BPS in the UK or Germany or whatever, and you will have a faster loading website there. And I always recommend you to use a caching plugin, such as in case you're using WordPress, which we do, WordPress Rocket. You can use Swift or Open Lightspeed, and usually the cost between the BPS and perhaps the caching plugin will be no more than $10 or $20 per month. So I think it's totally worth it to increase your revenue. To try to avoid using those share hostings that are like $5 per month, because when you are already making money, it's just better, it's worth it to spend a little bit extra there and just have better performing ads and more page views in general. So the last 3 points, these are just simple points that you can just perhaps Google search later, but we minify HTML, CSS, or JavaScript, and we test everything just in case something breaks there. Very important, we compress images. You can use a plugin such as Imagify or SurePixel or any other plugin for that, or just make sure you compress the images before you upload them to your website, because they take a lot of bandwidth and you want your website to load as fast as possible, especially for people who are searching your website in mobile devices. Perhaps they are searching it with their phone, and also they are on 3G or 4G bandwidth, so you don't want them to spend all their bandwidth in just images that could be loaded with a compressed size or with a smaller resolution, because they are already seeing it in a small screen. In case of a web server, I always recommend to use web serving hostings that use Nginx or Open Lightspeed instead of Apache. So you can ask for that in the web host solution that you're using. And lazy load, just this last point, lazy load has been very popular lately, but in my test, at least, it can be a double-edged sword for ads and revenue. So I just recommend you to test carefully, because sometimes a lot of people use lazy loading for images and all the CSS and other stuff in their website, but I have seen that sometimes this also hurts ads performance. So just in case you are using it and you see your performance drops, after that you can try to disable it and see if it works better. But that's pretty much it, guys. Those are my main tips on how to understand your niche and how to increase your website revenue. If you want to learn more about traffic generation and website monetization, you can go to streamseo.com, which is where I speak about that. And if you're interested in paid traffic or affiliate marketing in general, I also have this other blog, which is servandosilva.com. And well, thank you very much, guys. And off to Emmanuel. Let me.
Thank you, Servando. Thank you very much. So I'm the next speaker in line, and we will start with my personal topic, which is related on how to find the right balance between user experience and website monetization. Before I move forward, a few words about myself. My name is Emanuele. I lead the key account management in Adcash, and I've been part of this organization for the last 10 years, with majority of my experience being on the publisher side. So, for the ones less familiar with Adcash, who we are. Adcash is a global self-service online platform for media buyers, affiliates, ad network, and publisher. Our ad format offering is composed by interstitial ads, push notification, pop-under, native, and banner ads. We operate worldwide in the mainstream entertainment area. First look at the agenda of today. I will talk about how to get started with website monetization, a deeper look to the content and audience part, what are the market standards, the importance of keeping a good balance, how to choose the right ad format and their setup, and as well, how to choose the right monetization partner. I will share at the end some top tips from our team and an exclusive offer for the audience here today. Website monetization, getting started. Publishers should always have in mind a checklist that is basic, in my opinion, when it comes to move forward with a monetization strategy. The first in my list is SEO. SEO is key. Webmasters want to make sure that they will invest some time and resource in optimizing their website over search engine. It's extremely important that the user will land on your website due to their content research across different search engines. The second in line, of course, is the content. Content is king. You need to make sure that you have a proper and up-to-date content that is totally in line with your user interest. This will be defined by your niche or vertical, like Servando already mentioned. The third point is about the audience. Webmasters want to make sure to increase the website traffic and as well have a good understanding about the behavior and navigation experience of the user on the websites. The point 1 and 2, SEO and content, are the main driver when it comes to the organic growth of the website. Of course, there is more that can be done, and I will specify a little bit later on. Once these main 3 points of the checklist is done, it's time to think about the monetization strategy. And something that I advise to webmaster is to make sure that their choice is going to fit perfectly with the content and the audience interest as well. A little bit more deep into the content and audience. Content is extremely important. Identify the website niche and the interest of the user. Together with having up-to-date and frequent content that will allow user to be loyal to your website and come back as many times as possible, it's also important to have a very good structure. Why? Because this is going to benefit to the SEO if we talk, for example, about keywords, content keywords. But not only, we'll also have a direct effect in the monetization strategy because keywords are often used for advertising targeting, meaning that the campaign running on your website will benefit from this extra layer of information to create even a better match between the user interest and the ads being shown. As I said, it's important to know your audience, who they are, why they visit the sites, how long they stay on your site, and how they interact with the content. Webmaster ideally should be able to draw a neat map, understand within the website what are the most visited pages, and also how exactly the user is interacting with the content, and then strategically thinking to engage them with ads within the main points of the website. So try to get a very good understanding about the user navigation on the site. The user experience is extremely important and is directly connected also to the monetization part. User experience is given by the content, as I say, but also by the way the webmaster are going to engage user with ads. And it's extremely important to keep this interesting at all the level. Out of the responsibility of a webmaster when it comes to build a website and understand that it's the right moment to apply monetization strategy, there are 2 other points that are strictly related to the monetization part. First of all, I'm talking about market standard. And I mentioned a very specific point, which is the Better Ads standard. So the coalition led by Google and other big players in the market, that aim a little bit to protect user and define what is the abusive experience given by the ads on a specific traffic source or website. To clarify a little bit about that, the Better Ads Coalition doesn't aim to really identify what are the abusive ad formats. Instead, is more focusing on the behavior part. So the way that formats are showing us the user and the ads as well. So the product that has been provided to the user. We need to have a good understanding of that because, as I said, there is no limitation in deciding to use one ad format or the other. Instead, it's all about the way webmasters are going to set those up and then the way the ad format itself is interacting with the user when he's seeing the ad. The second part is related to shady practices, which is a well-known secret in today's reality in the ad tech, which is related to less transparent players that are not really respecting agreement with the publisher when it comes to the setup. As a side effect, in worst of the case, you will have issues on both sides, on the website, health, let's say, and also in the performance and revenue coming out of it. Having some shady practices, some setup not being respected by the network with the aim of providing you an higher eCPM or an higher revenue might heavily affect the health of the website, meaning that you might end up having some penalization or flag by the better ad standard, as well as being impacted on the revenue because the revenue is not always shown to you in a transparent way. And those are things to keep in mind because when it comes to find the right balance, those 2 points are going to play a big role. So this being said, how to find the right balance between website monetization and user experience? In my opinion, it comes to 2 main points. The first one is that format selection and their setup. In this slide, you can see 5 ad formats, which are the offering of Adcash. The first 2 ones are the interstitial ads and pop-under ads, which I group together as they are full screen ads. Highly engaging, great pricing, of course, might be a little bit aggressive or considered abusive if not set up correctly. In Adcash, we offer all the possible setup that make those specific ad formats fully compliant with the better ads standards. And this is something that is very important for webmaster because they need not to stick only to the way that format look, but to the way you can set it up to make it seamless for your user and highly engaging as well. The 3 other formats are the so-called seamless format for users, less aggressive, more display type of ad formats. And I'm talking about push notification, native ads, and banner ads. Those are good options that are always suitable for any kind of website and might create some issue, like Servando mentioned before, related to blindness. This is about the navigation experience of the user and the placement of those specific formats on the website. So depending on the knowledge that you have into the user and user navigation, it's your role to understand what are the best placement for those ad formats. When it comes to setups, I group 4 main basic setups that aim to make the user experience better and also a better engagement, hence better performances. The first one is related to the frequency capping. So the amount of ads that a webmaster decides to show to a user. Extremely important. We don't want to overload the user with tons of ads, and we want to make sure that the experience is kept light, showing only relevant ads that are highly engaging. The second one is related to the way we show these ads to the user. So trigger by delay, it means that webmaster can decide the time frame that will trigger the ad once the user lands on their website. This just not to overload the user experience by landing on your website and being right away bombarded with tons of ads. The third one is extremely important because it defines the user interest. So I'm talking about the whitelisting and blacklisting of category of ads. So based on your content type, user interest, audience knowledge, you will be able to decide what are the category of ads that you want to display on your website. If from one side, this is a very good option, on the other side, I would advise you not to abuse about this setup type, because by adding too much whitelist or blacklisting, you might compromise some category of ads and the possibility of them performing well on your website and adding a revenue stream on your performances. The last one is related to the integration itself. Here I mentioned specific pages and the call to action integration. Depending on your website and depending on the content and the heat map that webmaster will be able to draw, it's time to decide what is the best place to engage the user. Maybe we want to avoid showing ads on the home page and then engage them in the final content page Or if your website requires an action from the user once they land on a very specific content, I'm talking about the call to action, then why not monetize them in their last action on the website and keep them a very friendly navigation experience on all the rest of the website. The second point is related on how to choose the right monetization partner, also in view of what I mentioned before in terms of shady practices. There is a misconception from publisher of using together many different ad networks at the same time and making as much money as possible. This is not always happening. I believe that there are different ways of using several ad networks, and there are pretty legit way of doing it. The first one could be different networks that use different kind of ad formats, so they can offer you complementary ad format to add the revenue stream on your website. The second one is the possibility to split correctly the traffic between the two networks, a so-called fallback or waterfall integration. But then when it comes to approaching a new partner or being approached by a new partner, we need to have a checklist also here to understand if he's the right one to monetize our traffic. So in premise, I put ad formats. Of course, the network need to be able to provide you that format that you need, or complementary ad format that would be a very good option to add additional revenue to your existing monetization strategy. The second one is related to the special features, so the customization setup that I mentioned before. Of course, you want to make sure that the network will give you the possibility to customize your ad format based on your needs or your user needs. Never go for an ad format that doesn't have too many customization. Anti-ad block technology. Of course, like Servando said, ad block is a reality, and sometimes there is the misconception of ads are dead because of ad block. No, there are a lot of users that, of course, they use browser extension to block ads and so on. However, there are many technologies out of there, and Adcash offer those kind of technology to bypass ad block and to monetize revenue that today, in most of the cases, is revenue loss by default. Fee rate, pricing, and payment option. Of course, you want to make sure that the company is able to provide you ads for the geolocalization of your user or the targeting of your user. The pricing need to be suitable for you, and you need to have a comfortable way of cashing out your revenue. So payment options are also very important. Support. Another point that Servando repeats many times in his presentation. It's not a standard in the market. Not everyone offers dedicated account management or real-time support. That's extremely important. I've been talking about the preparation of webmaster and also how to choose the right monetization strategy. They cannot do everything by themselves. It's extremely important to get supported, to have a manager that advise and help to set up the different ad format or strategy based on results and also the webmaster need. Reporting a statistic is another thing that is not very well common inside the market, meaning that there are different ways of showing statistics and reports to publishers. I believe that the best way is to go with live stats reports. So make sure that the reporting and statistics system that the network is going to provide is transparent and crystal clear for you. Then transparency and ads compliance. Again, when it comes to the Better Ads Coalition, is not only about ad format, but also about the campaigns, the ads that we're actually showing to the user. You don't want to end up having your website flagged because of a bad campaign that is harmful for both your website and also the user experience. So make sure that the partner you're going to choose have a very strict compliance rule when it comes to decide what kind of ads they deal with and they provide to publisher. Overall company reputation. Easy to find information online about customer experience, but please make sure not to be misled. Try to select the reviews that are backed up by data and real person. Some top tips from our team are a little bit a resume of all the topics that I brought here today. Number one, try to use only one ad network at a time. This will allow you to really understand if it's the suitable partner for you. The second one is try different ad format to find the best performing combination for your audience. Don't stick only to what you think is already working for you. Try to get advice, try new things, and then based on the performance, try to find the right combination to have additional revenue stream. Make a good use of keywords. As I said before, that is going to help the SEO parts, and also the monetization overall in terms of targeting of the advertisers. How you do that? Make sure the keywords are visible in the referral URL, in the metadata, in the page copy, in the content overall. Last but not least, don't judge the network performance too fast. You need to give time to network to apply the right optimization through their automatic infrastructure and algorithm, but also thanks to the manager help and manual optimization. So instead of stopping a test after a couple of hours, try to exchange with your manager, get advice, get some adjustment. And my advice is try to keep a test running with constant traffic for at least 48 hours with only one network. Keep your audience happy and increase your earnings by showing only relevant ads. It's all about that. Last, I would like to present an exclusive offer for the audience today. For all the new publisher account created, we will add a 10% additional revenue share for the first week of earnings, plus a dedicated account manager that will follow you over your monetization journey. We also offer our Adcash referral program, meaning that if you will refer a new publisher to our platform, you will get an extra 5% lifetime commission out of his performance. And that's pretty much it from me. Feel free to ping me directly at my mail if you would like to go a little bit deeper into any of the topic that I present today or the monetization topic overall. Next, I will give the word to Craig, that will be the next speaker in line. Craig, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you very much. Great presentation. Learned a few tips myself, so thank you very much for that. I'm just going to share my screen and carry on with my presentation.
That's a small reminder on my side. I'm sorry, Craig. I would like to remind the audience to ask questions via the question and answer button, and we will grab them for the end of the session. Thank you. You can go, Craig.
Perfect. Thank you. So thank you very much to Adcash for having me on today. It's a pleasure to come on and share some advice with a different audience. So thank you very much for that. Now I'm going to share some tips and advice for 2020. But before I do that, just a bit about myself. My name's Craig Campbell. I'm an affiliate marketer, blogger. I've had 18 years in the industry, started out pretty much as everyone else has, as a freelancer working from home, went on to build up a successful digital agency, decided that wasn't for me, built up a personal brand and blog. I do focus now in training and affiliate marketing and buying and selling digital properties on a regular basis. Now, today, obviously, the tips are from the SEO side of things and how to rank well and drive traffic from organic search to make money. Now, winning websites, you know, SEO still works. There's an example of a winning website. This particular website drives traffic from organic search, paid search, social media, everything else. And that's perfectly fine to do. You know, you can do all of that stuff. And, you know, as Servando says, he uses multiple different revenue streams, different traffic streams to monetize those options. And we hear a lot of people say, well, does SEO really still work? Is it needed? And all of this kind of stuff. Here's an example of another website that pretty much all the revenue comes through organic search. So SEO can still drive a huge amount of traffic. And that is essentially where you're going to make money online. And of course, you know, there's multiple ways of doing that. But to start out with SEO, I'm not going to go through the basics of SEO because we only have 20 minutes today. So I can only really scratch the surface and talk about a few things that work really well. Of course, as Servando and Emmanuel have said, you need a good solid website foundation. You need a fast loading website. You do need all of your on page and your content and all of that stuff put on there. That is something you can easily learn, you know, somewhere else. There's lots of different talks about that. Good on-page SEO has to happen, you know, if you want everything else to work properly. You need a good foundation to work from. And I'm going to give you some tips and advice on what that is, but also bear in mind that when you do something with your SEO campaign, regularly audit that stuff. Do checks and everything you're doing, whether it's a backlink audit, whether it's an on-page audit. Make sure that it's not just left to die. You know, you build a website, overload it with crap, slow it down with all your, you know, high resolution images. All of that kind of stuff will eventually impact your income. So make sure you do audit everything regularly as well. Now, as it stands, link building is a hot topic within the SEO industry, and it's, you know, one of the most important ranking factors, out with your technical and everything else that's there. So I'm going to talk a little bit about link building because it's a popular topic, and give you some tips and advice on that. So obviously, for anyone who doesn't know what link building is, it's just a whole bunch of web properties pointing to your website, basically voting and sending signals to Google saying this particular website that everyone's linking to is really important. And, you know, you want those links to be relevant. I think we all know that. Now, obviously, we see a bunch of different stuff being said in the press or, you know, on SE Roundtable, and Google even released statements such as to say all link building is bad would be wrong. And there's always this kind of scare thing going on with Google. You know, they tell you that, you know, this is Google's terms of service we have in front of us. Building a link is basically potentially going to get you banned from Google. But on the other hand, they tell you that it's the #1 ranking factor. So it's a contradiction anyway. But obviously, on the link schemes with Google's terms of service, they tell you buying or selling links is bad, exchanging links in an excessive way is bad, large-scale article marketing or guest post campaigns are bad, you know, using automated programs are bad. You know, basically doing anything is bad, you know, unless, and you know, you have to build links. So I think, you know, for a lot of people, what I want to do is reaffirm that link building still works, regardless of what Google's terms of service says, regardless of what anyone else says, and everyone will tell you online, whether it's Moz, whether it's WordStream, whether it's Backlinko, link building is important, and there's guides upon guides for that. So link building is important. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of tips on link building, some quick, easy solutions, because I feel that a lot of people out there have real problems with link building. They're either too scared to do it, they don't know how to do it, can't be bothered doing it, or they, you know, or they've been burnt in the past where they've maybe bought crappy links from someone. So here's a couple of different quick, easy, simple solutions to link building. So broken link building, finding broken link opportunities. Now, I'm going to give you one example here, but if you use your creative mind, you can run wild with this one quite easily. So there's a great tool in the industry called Ahrefs, and down near the bottom of the left-hand sidebar, you'll see it's got a broken link section. Now, I've just used Amazon as an example. Now, you'll be able to see that on the Amazon website, there's a whole bunch of broken links. Now, the second link down, which is the iPlayer help.external.bbc.co.uk, I've used that one as an example. Now, it's a dead link. The page no longer works. You know, it's garbage. Now, look at the links that are pointing to that link. You've got links from Apple, Reddit, Amazon, BBC, and a whole bunch of other places where you can potentially reach out to these guys and say, guys, you're linking to a dead resource. Here is my resource that's totally relevant, completely working. Why don't you link to that? Now, that broken link building technique is very simple and very easy to implement. No one wants to link to a dead page. They want to clean that stuff up. And if you're highlighting that for them and you're giving them a proposition of a similarly relevant page, then 9 times out of 10, you will get that link. So for me, broken link building works very, very well. Obviously, you can do outreach, reaching out to webmasters, mummy bloggers, whatever niche you're in. Reaching out to people is a great way, and it's something that a lot of people are doing to get links at the moment. And they're reaching out using automated tools such as Pitchbox, which you've got in front of you there. Now, Pitchbox obviously allows you to put in a load of domain names. It does a lot of the grunt work for you, where it will scrape up the email addresses of those domain names, and then you can set up an email sequence that will basically send outreach campaigns out time and time again. Now, doing this, people may say, oh God, you know, the conversion rate's really low, but people sending email upon email upon email, of course, are not going to get a high return rate from that. But where it works really well is the follow-up sequence. And that's why I would recommend using a tool like Pitchbox, or if that's out with your budget, you have cheaper alternative options like Mailshake and similar. Now, it's the follow-up sequence that is where people get the most conversions. So make sure that you do set these tools up properly when doing outreach, because outreach still does work to a certain degree. It's still not the most efficient use of time, in all honesty, but if you want to do link building, you've got to reach out to people, you've got to talk to people, you've got to try and get links that no one else is getting. And that particular style of link building can work very, very well, providing you use the right tool and the right automation follow-up sequence for that. Now, you can simply go out to websites like People Per Hour and buy a link on, you know, a whole bunch of websites. If you go to People Per Hour and click on it, just go onto the search bar and search for guest posts. There's there's 16,000 websites, I think, when I checked out earlier today, that are selling links on their websites. Now, of course, these links are going to be saturated. Of course, every Tom, Dick and Harry's going to get these links. However, don't be caught by the middleman. Now, what I want to highlight here is what a lot of link vendors do is they will take, for example, the third one on the top row, Market Watch, and they will email a whole bunch of people saying, I can get your link in Market Watch. It's got domain authority 92. Do you want to buy a link? And they will say, someone will say, yeah, how much? And they'll say $150. Now, it's costing them £30. Now, at the start of any link building campaign, we, of course, want to build up authority and trust and all that kind of stuff. And I would highly recommend that you just go to People Per Hour and buy some high quality, high power links, just as a kind of base to work from. Obviously, link building, you want to get links that your competition are not getting. But everyone's got to start somewhere. And if you're going to start by guest blog posting, make sure you don't get stung by that middleman who's doubling, trebling up, or, even more, selling those links. So always go and do your research first on the likes of People Per Hour. Lots of guest posts on there. There is also other vendors such as linksforyou.com who will sell you links based on specific metrics and traffic. Now, I want to talk a little bit about what I look for when I'm getting a guest post. I'm looking for websites that are relevant, that have a decent DR score, and they also drive traffic and have rankings. I don't want links in someone's crappy PBN that gets no traffic, doesn't pass any juice, a dead website. These are the things that people are looking for. And there's vendors out there who are simply doing outreach all day long. And that's the kind of guys that you can also get your guest posts from. Now, also on top of that, when you come to link building, and obviously to give yourself a little bit of extra power, people build links to those guest posts, which you may hear the term tiered link building being used. And obviously the top website here is your website. Then you've got a couple of, maybe guest posts as your tier 1 links. And then people are automating or using spam and all sorts of junk underneath that, PBNs, niche edits, all of that kind of stuff to power up their main website. Now, using the tiered link building structure, basically means that you have no real major risk to your own money website. You're powering up your PBNs and the URLs that your links on. So that is another effective link building strategy. And to for tiered link building, you can use Web 2.0s and a whole bunch of other kind of spammy stuff. Now you can use tools like SEO Autopilot for that, and it just gives those guest posts a little bit of power, because how many of you have been looking going, bloody hell, you know, that guy's only built a handful of links and I don't know why he's beating me. The chances are he's got a tiered link building structure in place and he's using automation and he's going to whip your backside. That's it. You know, that's the kind of strategies people are using. Now, these kind of strategies are not, not something you have to use in every industry. In more competitive niches, yes. But obviously what I would also say is try and build links properly without using any kind of aggressive strategies, unless you have to do that. So in certain industries, you're just going to have to go for it. Gambling and the likes, you know, anywhere where there's a lot of money, you're going to have to up your game and you know, change up your link building approach. The point is, think outside the box when it comes to link building. Do not sit waiting for Google to automatically link to your evergreen content. It ain't going to happen unless, you know, you're David Beckham releasing a press release. You ain't getting those links. So think outside the box. Now, one last little link building trick that I want to talk about is known as the image trick. And it's a little bit naughty, but I want to share it anyway, just to show you how to sometimes think outside the box. The Liverpool Echo is a newspaper based in the UK, and you'll be able to see below the image and the commas, it says image, Colin Lane, Liverpool Echo. So most newspapers will credit the person that provided the image, and they'll give a link on there as well. Now, what happens with a lot of newspapers is you see articles like this one here, and you'll see where it says image copyright unknown. Now, that's an opportunity. Now, a lot of people will reach out there and say, hey man, you know, and what they're reaching out to is just some editor at the Liverpool Echo. And basically they'll be reaching out to them saying, hey man, you've used my picture in there, blah, 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 blah. You know, I don't mind you using the image, but if you want to credit me for it, here's my link here. And believe it or not, that approach works very, very well. No one wants to use someone else's image. No one wants in, you know, trouble, copyright problems or anything like that. So the image trick, and also preying on the naive who don't understand SEO or the power of that link or anything else, is another way to get links. So the point I want to make with that example is think outside the box. Don't just sit there and follow what everyone else is doing. There's loads of ways to use your creative mind to build links. So that's some link building tips. And as I say, your domain, then you have a bunch of newspaper articles, profile links and everything else. And then at the bottom, which is the left-hand side, is what I would call link laundering. You would have high PR, PBNs, niche edits, domain takeovers, 301 redirects, all of the other kind of stuff that you may want to do to power up your main website. Now, something else which works very, very well, which a lot of people still are not trying, and it's been around for years, is engagement signals and CTR, click-through rate manipulation. So I'm going to talk to you a bit about that as well, which can also help your SEO. And this can work very well, whether you're sending this traffic to your GMB listing. You know, everyone wants the local map pack, and sending traffic and having engagement on your local GMBs can help you, or it does help you, you know, go through and rank very well in the map pack. You know, if you want to rank a video, CTR manipulation, you see the two videos that are on page one, two of the three videos in page one are both my videos talking about CTR manipulation. Now, whether I want to rank a video, whether I want to rank a web page, Whether I want to rank a podcast, it doesn't matter. Those engagement signals are really important. Google or YouTube or wherever, podcasts, iTunes, whatever, are looking at those engagement metrics and seeing, whoa, this is a really important video. It's had a lot of engagement. It's had a lot of, click through, watch time, all of that kind of stuff, and it ranks it accordingly. So the proof's in the pudding there, 2 out of 3 for CTR manipulation on page 1. It's not bad work. Now I'm going to show you how that works. As I say, it can also work on the search engines as well. Sending traffic to a page will help it obviously rank well. Now, first thing first, when I release a blog post or a video, what I'll tend to do is send some low-cost Facebook traffic to it. So it's a paid ad. And you'll be able to see here a video that I launched last week. I put £25 at it, and I got 1,213 clicks on that video. It basically cost me 0.02 pence per click. Now, the trick here is obviously to put it out to a targeted audience, because what I want to do is make sure that that video is watched and people engage with it. So using the right targeted audience. But a little trick there that I do to get it at such a low cost is put it out to the Indian and Pakistani audience. Now, the reason I do that is, there's so many people over there, but they are all interested in SEO, and you can get real low cost per click by doing that. And that gives you a lot of engagement initially off the bat when you release a blog post, a video. Getting those link clicks, 1,200 of them very, very quickly is great. And obviously they'll like, they'll comment, they'll share. And you see here's another one done for £45 over 4 days. Again, it's 0.02 pence per click. Really low cost, real easy way to get those engagement signals working. Another way and another part of the mix after I do the Facebook ad is what I'll do is go to a tool or a platform called Microworkers. Now, basically what happens on here is you can set up a template and ask people to click in your ads or do whatever, whatever you want them to do. And it's real people, and they're getting paid, 20 cents or whatever the going rate is for the particular job that you want doing. Now, basically, you can go onto Microworkers and you can see that the list in front of you is all the current jobs that are available. Now, you can click on any one of those jobs and it will basically tell you that, what the job description is and what is expected from the workers. And you see there that that particular person's wanting the workers to search for the most comfortable walking shoes and click on the website, engage with it, click in different stuff, and then jump to another page, click on a few things, and then bugger off. Now, that platform, you can basically hire people for pennies, and it works really well. Now, you can also specify where these people come from. If you're wanting to send people to your GMB, for example, if you want to rank your local map listing, what you would probably want to do is use targeted local Facebook traffic or something. But if you're doing any kind of nationwide stuff, you can use the UK audience, the Africa, whatever. It really doesn't matter. You can select the audience and obviously then tell them what to do, whether they click on something, whether they watch a video, whether they watch the video, like and comment on it. There's a whole bunch of different stuff. You can give them exactly what you want them to do. So Microworkers is another part of the overall sauce that I'm doing when it comes to the click-through rate manipulation. Now, it's very easy to do. You can basically hire as many people as you want. You'll be able to see that there's available positions. So if you want 30 people or 300 people or 3,000 people, then that's up to you what you do. And basically you can give them the job description there. Simple and easy. Now, Quora is another place where you can get low cost targeted traffic. Again, I spent $122 on Quora. I got 2,000 clicks. So again, you can get real low cost Quora ads sent to your website, again, with a view to making sure that everything doesn't look robotic. It's not fake. It's real people, different IPs, you know, from all over the place, all engaging with your particular blog post or video. Now, over and above that, you can also use your organic social media. So every blog post that I put out, I'll put out on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and all of that kind of stuff. And again, that will get eyeballs on it. It will get a couple of thousand people on it, depending on how many followers you have. Email marketing is another thing. Now, email marketing, of course, has a number of different purposes, but sending an email or a tutorial or a blog post out to your email marketing community, again, can also help that click-through rate manipulation. It's more eyeballs, it's more everything, all on that video in the first couple of days of it going live, or on that page, or whatever it's going to be. So what you can do is, I'm not saying do this, you know, one after another, all within a 10-minute period. You can do your Facebook ads for one day, do micro workers the next day, do your email marketing the next day, and make it look a little more natural. But email marketing is another way to drive a whole bunch of people onto a page or a video or whatever it's going to be. On top of that, I've also added to the mix a tool called Push Engage, which is push messages. And with the volume of people that come on my website, people do sign up for push notifications. So it's quite a good place, if you get decent traffic coming to your website, to then be able to push messages out to them. So again, for example, if I release a blog post, I can automatically send a push message out to everyone who's signed up for the push messages, and again, get several thousand clicks on that, post the video, whatever it might be, again, with a view to driving that traffic and engagement on a particular blog post. So between that whole sequence of events, I'm getting a whole lot of engagement on any video, any blog post, or anything that I put out there. And those engagement signals really do carry a lot of weight. And obviously, if you've got all your other stuff on point, on page, your speeds and everything else, and your calls to action and all of the other good stuff that goes with SEO, then you're going to rank really well. So that is pretty much all I've really got time for, to kind of promote. Now, at the end or after this conference, I'm going to give people a chance to win, you know, whether it's a site audit or whether they want an hour to pick my brains on different stuff, or whether you want me to look over your setup. I'm offering someone the opportunity to win a free 1-hour consultation. We can jump on Zoom, do whatever you want, help you out, and someone in the audience will win that. And I'm going to allow Crete from Adcash to pick that winner, and she will announce it after the conference. And yeah, just make sure you tell people about this conference and how good it was and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure Crete will pick someone who's been more vocal than the others that are out there. If you do want to get in touch with me, you can find everything on craigcampbellseo.com. You can find links to my YouTube and all that kind of other stuff. And you can get in touch with me on the website. But yeah, that is me finished. And hopefully we will, I'll be able to speak to you again in the questions and answers.
Thank you very much, Craig. And thanks again, Servando, as well. Great topics, crystal clear. I really hope that the audience as well got useful insight out of it. As I said at the beginning of the conference, we will now have 50 minutes question and answer, and we will address some of the questions submitted by the audience. I will read the question directly and mention the targeted person so that we can answer to those. And let's start. First one is for Craig. Affiliate marketing. If I import a company's product description to my website, Does it matter if I keep this content as it is? I know duplicate content is not good for SEO, but does it matter if I don't want those particular pages to rank? Will that duplicated content mean that my whole website will be penalized by Google, or just those pages with the duplicated content?
In my opinion, it will just be the pages with the duplicate content. Now, many people have e-commerce websites which they massively upload the suppliers' product descriptions and images, and they obviously create landing pages around about that, static landing pages, so that they do rank with those landing pages, and obviously send everything over to the duplicated product description pages. So what I would do is just make sure, if you're going to do that, make sure that your product pages and everything else are just not, no index, no follow them. Make sure that the search engines don't get to them as well, because they can eat up into your crawl budget. So if you've got a massive website or a big affiliate website and it is full of duplicate content, you can have a potential problem, because Google will not always crawl and index 100% of your URLs. They may crawl and use all your crawl budget on all that duplicate content. So I would just make sure that you use the right filtering options to make sure that you're only showing Google your money pages on your website. And it's the same with any website, whether it's affiliate, whether it's e-com or whatever. On my About Us page, I have a no follow, no index on it because I don't need it to rank. It's not designed to rank well. I don't want Google wasting any time on that page. So make sure that if that is your strategy, build static landing pages and then obviously force people over to those particular product pages.
Perfect. I have a second question for you, asked by Karim from Algeria. How to improve your website SEO, and what are the best sources to buy high quality backlinks?
So I would always mix up where you're buying high quality backlinks. As I said, there's one vendor on there, linksforyou.com, you've got getmelinks.com, but it depends what you're buying, because those are guest post suppliers. There's other guys out there who sell niche edits. There's other guys out there who sell PR. So I would always make sure that you mix all of that stuff up. Don't just buy high quality links from one vendor. Make sure that you do get a mix of PR, do get a mix of, or get people who are actually doing organic outreach and all of that stuff. If you want to shoot me a message, I can send you everyone. I can basically give you a shopping list of people to go to that I personally use. But it also depends on your location. I don't know of anyone in Algeria off the top of my head, but it depends on what country you're targeting. I'm sure you may be in Algeria, but you could still be targeting, a US audience. But reach out to me and I can give you a point in the right direction for that. What was the other part of that question? Was how to build?
It was a little bit more generic, how to improve your website SEO overall. And we've been already speaking a little bit over two presentations also about more insights about the SEO.
It's obviously a very, very vague question.
Correct.
It's, some of the stuff that I mentioned in the presentation, of course, all your technical stuff. But what I would do is, if you really want to learn, I've got a free SEO course on my YouTube channel where you can basically go through all the steps, if that helps. But there's loads of information out there, lots of different steps to improve your SEO, including the technical and site speed and all of the stuff that I didn't talk about today. So you're probably better having a look at all of that stuff as well.
Great. Next one is for Servando. How to get more organic views and engagement on blog without using social media scheduling tools. My personal finance blog is currently getting below 10,000 views per month. Dr. Nabankita from India.
Oh, that's a kind of a difficult question, I guess. If you're searching for organic traffic, you either, most of my projects rely on either Google search and social media. So in terms of social media, one of the networks that has been working well as well is Pinterest. But outside of social media and Google search, which you're pretty much taking up top two suppliers of the entire world. I guess you can go with the forums. For example, Craig mentioned he can do some things on Quora as well, but I guess at the end of the day, they are kind of social networks. So it's more like communities or perhaps forums. But if you want to rely on also those traffic sources as well, just keep in mind they are not going to be as huge as the top two, because if you take out social media and search from the equation, I mean, you're reducing your market a lot.
Clear. I will take next one for me. Is interstitial bad for user experience? What is the alternative ad form to use? So it's a good question, because I believe it comes from the fact that interstitial is a full screen ad. What I can tell you is that Google itself offers as well interstitial ads. And within the Better Ads coalition, there are very specific points about the interstitial and the behavior that is considered abusive for the user. We have developed our interstitial to be fully compliant with Google. For instance, we are able to provide the two kind of format for interstitial, the classic full screen one, and the so-called overlay that is resized not to take the whole page of the user, and it resized to 640 by 450 on desktop and 300 by 250 on mobile. So this is a very good option to make the interstitial compliant with the market standard, let's say. Another of the things pointed out by the Better Ads coalition, for instance, is that abusive experience is the one that lock the user for a certain amount of time on the ad itself. Meaning that a lot of time you can see that interstitial have countdown, right? 5, 10, 15 seconds. And the user doesn't really have the possibility to continue the navigation until the countdown ends. And then, because of that, we also develop an additional feature that allows webmaster to disable the countdown, so that the user can interact with ad right away, and if not interested, skipping it and keeping the focus within the web page that they are visiting. Keep in mind that the interstitial, differently from other ad format, doesn't redirect the user. So at the end of the day, I don't consider this to be a bad experience for the user, but if not set up correctly and integrated correctly, yes, it can be very aggressive. Of course, alternative ad format to use are several, all the ones that I mentioned before, but I can tell you that it's also possible to combine, for instance, two full screen ads, like pop under and interstitial. There are different ways of doing that. One of those ways that I personally like to propose a lot to publishers is to use, for instance, the pop under for the desktop and the interstitial only on the mobile part of the traffic, because user engagement is much higher and also is much more friendly when it comes to the mobile having a creative kind of a format instead of getting redirected to another tab, another page. So yeah, interstitial is not bad for user experience if set up correctly. Then another one for Servando. How do I rank my website quickly? Assam from Morocco.
Wow, if he's talking about organic search, I guess, I mean, Craig covered this pretty well. I mean, one of the most important things is going to be backlinks, of course. And as long as you're doing, I mean, this is a very famous answer for SEOs, which is it depends, but it definitely depends on the competition. I mean, you're gonna definitely need to do some keyword market research and analyze, and sometimes you will definitely need to spend a good amount of budget to do that in terms of content on backlinks. So there's no, with SEO, there's no quick way to do things. You need to be patient, you need to do your stuff, and you need to know that always it can take several months to achieve rankings. It's not, if you want like very quick rankings, then you need to pay for Google Ads. There's no other way around it in terms of SEO. And I think Craig can confirm this as well. SEO is not the fastest route. It's a very good one. It's a very high intent, but you can just click on a switch and then appear on the first page tomorrow or next week, because it's not going to happen like that, unless perhaps a very few small niches or keywords with very low competition. But it's super difficult that way. You need to think more long term on SEO if you wanna make it work, and be patient and keep working for a while.
Very good. Next one is for me as well. So, hi, I receive a lot of complaints from my audience about pop-ups on my site, but I don't run pops with my ad network. I only run banners and in-page push ads. Any idea where it comes from? Also, my site is content-based. Can I buy user for it? So 2 questions here. The first one, sad to say, but I believe that this is a case of shady practices, and I haven't specified too much about what those shady practices are, but I mention it. And unfortunately, the behavior that Terry is describing is exactly one of those shady practices. We host full content on our Adcash blog describing the most common shady practices in the market that I really invite the audience to check out. It could take forever because it's a topic that I really feel inside myself for me to talk about shady practices. But yes, I believe that in this case, by running in-page push ads and banners, the network that provides you such tag is also adding other ad formats on the back. So not respecting the deal, the setup can be very harmful. As you see, the audience already is answering in a negative way. I invite you actually to get in touch with me personally, and I can give you a consultation to understand if you're falling into any of those categories. Plus, please check the blog that we have on the Adcash page and try to understand all the different shady practices, because there is much more. Regarding your site, if it's a content-based website, of course, you can buy user for it. Depending on the content, I can advise you to buy, for instance, native ads traffic is a very good ad format when it comes to content promotion, for instance. It's a format that's differently from other ad formats, provide you the possibility to not only to promote a product, but also to promote actual content. So why not? It's a good option to buy users for your website. Also here, I can support you with some advice. So please get in touch if you want more information about it. I will take another one for me. Hello, when I A/B test networks, impression counting is very different with same tag configuration. How come? Alex Manrique. Also here, I need to understand a little bit better the context. If this happens when both networks are displaying at the same time, it might be an issue of tag conflicts. It might be an issue because also Google Chrome restricts the abusive experience when you have 2 full screen ads, for instance, popping out at the same time from different networks. So one will have priority based on the position of the code on your website or how aggressive is the tag, and maybe popping out all the time, being visible to the users, while the other one most of the time get blocked by the browser itself. Another option could be, again, a shady practices. Another of the common setup that some player is applying is the so-called shaving impression, meaning that they manipulate the data just to show a higher level of metric in terms of eCPM mostly, because publishers are always looking after very specific metric, I would say eCPM, revenue, and also fill rate. And then having an high eCPM usually is a sign that the network is performing really well. Well, it's not always the case if the stats are manipulated. So yeah, I would be happy to discuss a little bit more into detail this topic and understand the context. Again, I could provide you a solution. And like Servando and myself said at the beginning, don't rush in overloading the website, especially if the website is too young with ads. Try to test one network at a time, try to get the right setup, try to get advice, and then move forward with other tests. And I will take one more because the time is almost up, and is for Craig. Craig, are site builder like Elementor worth in terms of SEO? Alex from USA.
Elementor, lots of SEO people use it. The only thing you've got with page builders, drag and drop page builders, that the amount of code and everything behind them will impact the speed in your website. So Elementor is one that you can use, and people use it to, quite a large degree. There is also options like Oxygen, which is more for someone with coding skills, which has less bloated code. And I think like for the likes of my own template, I get a guy to custom make that template. I think it was a Genesis team, and stripped out all the old code, and got a lot of different stuff in there to cut out all the crap. So I think with Elementor is really good for someone with no real design skills to be able to put together a nice looking website. Is it the best for site speed and performance? It's not. It's, you know, that it's not. I can't say that it is. But you can get a developer to sort that out and strip out some of the garbage for you. As Servando said, you know, site speed is important. He touched on it. You know, you can use caching plugins and various other bits and bobs. What I would say is you don't have to, you know, if you can get it loaded in under 2 seconds or a second and a half, you're fine. You know, you don't have to obsess of, you know, over getting your website, you know, going from 1.3 seconds to 1.1 second. So try it out. You know, Elementor, though, it does have a lot of bloat in the background, but if you're a developer, have a look at Oxygen. I've heard a lot of good stuff about that, and hopefully that helps you.
Thank you, Craig. So the time is up for the question and answer session. We are almost also done with the overall Adconf. Just a reminder to the audience, we will be sending out to your registration email the presentation itself and all the resume about the special offers that has been shared by myself, Servando, and Craig as well. So I count on you for the next Adconf as well. I really hope that you guys got insights that are useful for you going forward. Feel free to get in touch with each of us. All the contacts will be shared also with the audience, so we expect a lot of engagement. Thanks again. I wish you a great evening and a great day wherever you are. Stay safe out there. Thank you.